Yo, yo. Cool, cool. Alright, we're back. Good to go. Jesus, man, I don't know what that was. Never had that before. Ever, ever, ever. Very, very weird. Super sorry about that, you guys. We're running a little bit late because of that, but all good. I don't know what that was at all. If anybody knows, feel free to tell me. Never had that happen before. Never had that before. Alright, are we good to go now? That is the question. I'm going to make sure everybody's good to go. Jesus, I don't know what that was. Alright, cool. Back on the program. Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Super sorry about that, guys. I really don't know what happened. I really do not know what happened. Do not know what happened. Alrighty. I just want to make sure we're good to go now, though. Yes, maybe. Everybody's good to go. Awesome. Yeah, I do not know what that was. Just making sure we're good now. Let's see. Let me see. Awesome. Yeah, I guess we're good now. Something wrong with YouTube or something? I'm not sure. But alright, guys. Let's get it. Y'all know the vibes, man. Sunday fun day, man. We about to get to it. What's up, Taekwon, Fino, Chelsea, Daniel, Paris? What's up, what's up, what's up? Screen's a little blurry. Yes, make sure you guys, YouTube, you can go up to 1440, so it can be super, 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 super clear. But, alrighty, yeah, let's get into it. Y'all know the vibes, man. Sunday fun day. Tonight, we're going to get into a watch list setups I'm watching for the week ahead, along with key economic data points that you need to know about. As I stated on my Instagram as well, I'll be talking a little bit about my journey, right? How I got to where I'm now, what my life has consisted of, and why the name Felony. I know a lot of you guys already know, but for all the new fan members, man, gotta get them up to date, alright? Let's go ahead and hop into it. First things first, as always, let's check out this economic calendar for the week ahead. Pretty light, to be honest. Nothing extravagant, but we do have a little bit to duck and dodge, and I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on Wednesday we have J-Pal bumping his good old gums. So let's go ahead and hop into this real quick. Last week was supposed to be a big week, to be honest, and you know, if you want to be transparent, I think last week was a little underwhelming with all the data we had, like CPI, PPI. Did not see what I wanted to see in terms of price action. But, yeah, guys, if you want to turn up the resolution, you can turn it up to, like, 1440. I encourage you guys to do so. But let's get into it. So, Monday, October 16th. Let's get it. Pretty much good to go, right? So, Monday, good to go. Nothing really to worry about in terms of economic data. Everything starts on Tuesday. Tuesday, we have retail sales and industrial production at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In terms of market influence, I would give this a solid maybe 6, 7 out of 10. Nothing crazy, but something to pay attention to. Wednesday, we have housing permits, which is at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, maybe a solid 5 or 6. Nothing too extravagant there. Thursday, October 19th, we have jobless claims and PMI, Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing. Excuse me, not PFI. This is Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing. Totally different than PMI. I would give that a solid 6 as well. So economic data is a little bit light. Thursday, we also do have existing home sales at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, I mean, man, it's tough. It's so tough. Like, after last week, I want to be, you know, essentially, I don't want to be bearish. Like, it's tough, right? We're in a tough spot in the chart, and we're about to hop into that in a second. But economic data wise, this is what we got to worry about. Tuesday, retail sales, industrial production. Wednesday, housing starts and permits. Thursday, jobless claims, Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index. That is both at 8:30 a.m. Also, existing home sales at 10 a.m. on Thursday. Thursday is pretty much the biggest day this week. Reason being is because we also have J-Powell bumping its gums at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, about this, I have to look into this. I don't know why he's talking, right? So this could be a bullshit roundtable meeting. Could be something very subtle, you know? So I'm going to take a look at this after the live, and I will update you guys on that. I don't know why he's speaking. Why he's speaking is very, very important. If it's something regarding, you know, interest rates or just anything regarding usual topics, it can be influential. But, you know, I got to look into that. So, but yeah, that's what we're watching this week in terms of economic data. Let's get into the charts. Let's go ahead and get into the charts. As always, let's start with futures here. We'll start with NQ and ES. Then we'll jump into QQQ and SPY, followed by the watch list. All right. Another question. Can everybody see and hear clear? If you can see and hear clear, please drop a 1. If you can't, drop 2. Make sure everybody's good to go here, all right? Fantasia, yes, always. You guys know that about me, man. If you guys have a question at any point in time, feel free to ask it. I'm more than happy to help, whether it's trading, entrepreneurship, business. It could be anything. Feel free to ask it. I'm an open book. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Yeah, I don't know what that was with YouTube tonight either. I've never had that happen before. Never had that happen before. Never, ever. Has anybody ever seen that where the screen went like green? One. Awesome. Cool. So everybody's good to go here. Alrighty. Let's get it. Screen's clear. Everybody can see nice. Dope. Let's get it. Cool beans. Alrighty, you guys. So, this is NQ, right? I want you guys to pay close attention to this monthly chart, right? If we're talking specifically about this monthly chart, right? Just this specific time frame, I still consider this pretty bullish, right? I do. I consider this pretty bullish, right? And I'm going to give you guys the reasons why. 1 is we bounced off of macro demand, right? That's 1. 2, we're forming kind of like a big monthly cup and handle, right? This can be 2 things, right? It can be a monthly cup and handle, or you can just consider this a straight up, you know, bull flag, right? It could be considered 2 things. I would kind of go more with a cup and handle just because of how perfect it is, but this is also a textbook bull flag, right? So in terms of this monthly time frame, I think that, you know, you it's hard. You can't be bearish. Like, how can you be bearish? Like, how can you be bearish off this monthly time frame? Like let's be realistic, right? I don't care what type of trader you are. You can see the chart, and you just can't be bearish here, right? You can't. I mean, specifically, let's talk about this area here, right? For the past, what is this, 4 months roughly, right? This boxed area. This candle, right? What does this tell us? Sellers attempted to push this candle to lows, right? At one point in time, this first candle here was fully red. Buyers pushed it all the way back up to almost highs, right? Number 2, kind of just a consolidation in between that, right? We kind of just consolidated in between that close and the wick low, right? Let's talk about last month, right? Or currently this month, excuse me, right? Which is number 3, right? There's not much going on here, right? It's just chop. It's just chop, right? We have no decision this month, period, right? We've set the high, we've set the low. What I want to talk about is the failures here, right? We've attempted to break lows, right? So this is the month's low. Attempted to break it once, and we attempted to break it twice. That's 2 occasions here that we attempted to go lower, but we have failed, right? So if you want to talk in terms of a monthly aspect, looking at this higher time frame, it's hard to be bearish, right? Like on a grand scheme of things, a macro scheme, it's hard to be bearish, right? I just showed you guys why. We have this nice little monthly bull flag here, and for all you pattern connoisseurs, right? You have a little cup and handle here. You know, whatever you want to call it. You can call it a bull flag. You can call it a cup and handle. You know, whatever you want to call it, right? And if you break it down even further, like I did, right? We just have like kind of like it's like, okay, we've set the range here, right? We have another inside bar, and then we have an inside bar inside of that inside bar. There's nothing really going on here, right? Like it's just consolidating. So I mean, I personally wouldn't want to be short on a midterm or long term here, personally, right? Based off the facts I just talked about, right? This is not a bearish chart to me at the moment. It's not. This is not a monthly bearish chart to me at all, right? It's not. But as we work lower, that changes a little bit, and we're gonna get into that right now. Brett, what's good, brother? How you doing tonight, man? Hope you're having a good night, brother. Now we get down to the weekly, right? This is where things start to shift a little bit, right? It starts to shift a little bit, but not much still, right? So if we're looking at this weekly time frame, I still see the same thing, right? We still have this big, cup and handle here. That's the first, right? Big old cup and handle, if you want to consider it that. Number two, we still have this big, weekly flag, right? We're essentially still in this big weekly flag. You go to Google, type in a bull flag or a bull pennant. This is what you're gonna get, right? Now I want to dive a little bit deeper here, right? Because this context is very important, right? So if we look here, right? I want to look at this specific area here. You guys can learn a lot from this, right? Let's look at this boxed area, right? We put in a high here, right? Let's call this 1. So this is the high. We came down, we put in a low. This is going to be 2, right? So this is kind of our range here, right? Now this is a little weird, right? The reason it's a little weird is, for one, we put in a lower high here, right? This is our first lower high on the weekly, right? But then we come down and we fail that previous structure. So from a context standpoint, we attempted to go lower here from 2, right? So we attempted to go lower. We failed to go lower. We put in this big pin bar here, bullish engulfing, engulfed the previous week. Nice strong pin bar, right? And then here we have this shit. What is this? So this weekly time frame to me is just a bunch of, it's, if you break it down like I am now, it's kind of like, what's going on here, man? Because now we have another potential lower high, right? We have our high here, we have a lower high, and if we hold below this, if we hold below this previous high, this can be another lower high. But it doesn't really mean much. Why? Because we're still holding support, right? I mean, yes, you could probably go short here with the stop loss above this high. I personally don't want to be short here, right? I don't. So this is my view on the market, right? It's kind of like it's a tough area. It is, right? I just broke it down for you guys. But specifically, if I'm looking at the context here, right? We have this low here. We attempted to go lower. We failed to go lower. But now we have this new lower high. So this is a big, what are we doing, right? What are we doing here? Are we going to let this flag play out? Or are we going to turn this into just a absolute shit show, right? And it's absolutely way too early to tell, right? Confirmation would be, the downside would be a break of that monthly low, and obviously this weekly structure, which is at 14,600, right? Like you can't, anybody in their right mind can't say, hey, I want to short into this, right? Don't get me wrong. Do you have room down here? Yes, right? You do have room down here. Now, if you entered at these highs here, sure, your risk reward is great, which I did yesterday or Friday. I caught the reject, but I just didn't have enough confidence to swing down into back into this demand, right? That wasn't my game plan. But and even the daily, right? If you go down to the daily, this tells a totally different story, right? And when you're doing multi-time frame analysis, the two most important things are 2 C's, right? Either confluence or conflict. When you're looking for confidence, you want to see confluence through multiple time frames. They're all telling you the same thing. Right now I see conflict, right? Weekly looks great. Monthly looks great, but this daily, it's like, all right, what's going on here? But then again, what are we doing? Right, we're doing a whole lot of nothing. We came down, created this demand, pushed back up, put in a lower high. Came back down, tested that same demand here, created a little double bottom, right? So now we have this double bottom. And then we came back up here, and we rejected this previous supply. Now we're, putting in a potential lower high, right? I mean, so like right here is kind of like a tricky area to be in, right? right? A very tricky area to be in. But let's break down what I'm actually watching here. All right, let's get down to this hourly time frame and see what we got. I mean, like I said, y'all, I mean, it's a tough read. You know, ultimately, it's a tough read, and I gave you guys the circumstances why. But I can tell you one thing. I have a shit ton of FOMO from Friday, right? I took a reject. Right, I'm going to show you guys here. I took a reject off of this 15,370 area. You guys can see why, right? First and foremost, let's look at the confluence here. Number one, we have the point of control, right? This red line here is the point of control. Lets us know that this is where the most volume has been traded at that price point, right? Number two, if we get onto a lower time frame here, right? Look at this supply, right? This is the definition of supply. If you guys want to know what it looks like, previous resistance, 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 turn support, broken. So obviously once the demand gets broken, it turns back into supply. My mentees and I, we took a reject on Friday right off of these highs. Beautiful supply here. And I paper handed it entirely too soon. I literally sold so soon it wasn't even funny. I literally entered Friday. I entered literally at the top of this candle, sold into the bottom of this candle. And I ended up missing this whole move. You know, in hindsight, I mean, could I have done anything different? Yes, I could have grabbed longer expirations and held. But I grabbed 0 DTs and, you know, took profit too quick. Anyway, what I'm watching this week is a little tricky, right? A little tricky. I mean, honestly, I don't even want to really break it down on NQ, so we'll go over to QQQ in a second, but that's my mindset. I mean, that's my analysis on NQ. We'll hop over here to ES, and then we'll get into QQQ and SPY, and I'll break down my game plan. But let's check out ES here, right? Let's talk about ES. Same concept, right? Same concept as NQ, right? Like, it's hard to be bearish with a chart like this, right? We just have a monthly flag here. That's the first thing I see. We have a monthly bull flag here. You can even consider it a cup and handle as well. If you go to the weekly chart, like how like it's tough. You know what I mean? Same. It's literally identical chart to NQ, right? We have our high here. We have a lower high, except this is a little bit different, right? We have a lower low here, and then we just put in another lower low, and now we have another lower high. So this weekly chart is actually at risk for a potential downtrend flip. If we were to come down and break this previous low from here, that would definitely be a downtrend, right? But the big pivot here on ES is going to be this demand, right? This is clean, clear, and textbook, right? I personally can't be bearish until we get below this 4,200, and that's just simple as that. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I just can't, you know what I mean? You guys can see here as well. Resistance, 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 resistance. That was broken, held as support. Also have the 200 MA on the daily, 100 MA on the weekly, 50 MA on the weekly. You just can't be bearish down in that area, right? But where we rejected from actually has a lot of context, right? So if you guys look here, right, we can see there was a previous support that we bounced off of this 4,200 from and pushed back into this previous support turn resistance, and that's where we rejected from. We also had a confluence with that 50 and 100 MA on the daily. So we rejected from a very, very, very valid supply. And this was the same area I was watching on ES, right? Same exact area. And if you guys wonder how to find rejects, there you go, right? Beautiful support, turn resistance, a high confluence area, right? But anyway, ES is pretty much the same scenario. It's a very tricky chart. A very, very tricky chart. And I'm going to break it down for QQQ and SPY on you guys. So we'll go over to QQQ here. We've already looked at those higher time frames, so let's get straight into it. What I'm watching, right? This is a little tricky, and I don't really like giving high risk setups, but we'll do it. Yeah, man, it's a little tricky, right? So, you know, you guys already know these time frames look exactly the same. NQ looks exactly like QQQ. QQQ looks exactly like NQ, right? But what I'm watching is a little bit tricky here. So what I'm watching on QQQ is I'm watching a push back into this 368, 367.50 for a reject. That's first and foremost, right? So that's what I'm going to watch here. Now, let's say, for example, the market gets strong, right? I will be confident flipping long if we reclaim this, right? You guys can see here, this was a huge pivot, right? So if we get a break and hold back above 368, I know we have room back into 371, right? 371 is also a very big resistance. So my game plan would be simple. Look for that reject off 368. If we somehow get very strong and break and hold above 368, that would invalidate that reject. I would look to flip long for that move back into 371. if you guys look here, what has happened previously from these two levels, right? Every time we've tested the 371.20, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, we've seen a nasty rejection or bounce, right? So I know that's a very strong area. Same concept with this 368 area, right? Major resistance, turn support, 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 support. And now it's broken, so it's a resistance, right? So I know if we happen to get back above that area, that QQQ likes to make that move, right? It likes to make that move into 371.20. So I know for a fact if we get above 368, there's a great chance that we get back into that 371.20. And we can define our risk and trade based off of that. But that's what I'm watching to the upside. A little tricky, but like I said, you know, I do like it. The downside, I would look to go short below 364, right? So if we get a clean break and hold below 364 on QQQ, I would look to go short down into this 361, 360 area. Now this is a little tricky down here, right? The reason being is because I would look for a relief bounce, right? So my game plan is kind of very open-ended, right? If we get weak below 364, I will look to go short down at that 361, 360. If we approach this 361, 360 area, that's when I'll say, okay, let me kind of, you know, exit my short positions and see if I can flip long here. You guys can see this was a major resistance, broken, turned into demand, right? So this is just a big demand here that we're waiting to test. So I like this a lot, right? I like this a lot. And that's what I'm watching here, right? That's what I'm watching on QQQ. 368 level, just consider there's 2 inflection points here, right? One is 368. There's 2 things we can do here. Look for a reject off 368, or if we get strong, look for the break and hold above for continued upside, right? That's what we can do. Downside, very simple. If we get a break and hold below 364, we can look to go short down into this 361, 360. Lights out scenario here is 360. As you guys can see, if we get below this 360 area, we have nothing but room down into this 350, 380, right? So if we get below 360, that's a ball game for QQQ. So make sure you guys keep an eye on that. But like my actual opinion on the market, I can't. I mean, I just went over, you know, like what I thought personally. I mean, right now it's like, it's on a macro scheme. I think we still look bullish, right? On the monthly chart, on QQQ, NQ, ES, SPY, I think we still look good, right? But once you get down to the daily time frame and the hourly, it does look like we're very weak, right? We're at risk for a reversal here. So it's a little tricky. There's a little conflict between these higher time frames. And that's kind of where I'm like, all right, you know, cash flow is what I'm focused on here in terms of actual trades. But this is what I'm watching on QQQ. Very simple. And if you guys want to know why I took that reject on Friday, there's your answer, right? You had a previous resistance. It was broken, turned to support. We broke it on Thursday, so I looked for a retest on Friday, and that's how I caught the top on QQQ, right? Very, very simple there. Nothing extravagant, no calculus equations. Just a very simple reject, right? Even if you go down here on the 15-minute time frame, still very, very clean, right? You guys can see here. This once was a resistance, turned support, held extremely well Thursday. We got the breakdown later in the day on Thursday. So Friday, when it popped back into the 371.20, that's where me and my mentees, we entered puts right here. And I sold entirely too early. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, exactly. Nice head and shoulders as well. You could consider that head and shoulders. You got the left shoulder, you got the right shoulder, you got the head. That was a nice head and shoulders. And then the neckline would have been right here. Right? Beautiful trade. Even that 367.40, that was a great break and retest, right? If you guys want to know what a break and retest is, simply when support turns to resistance or resistance turns support, right? That's what happened here as well. You had 367.40, which was a major support, broke down, and you got a perfect retest over here for a short opportunity, right? Beautiful, beautiful trade there as well. I personally didn't take that trade, but very, very nice. It was definitely a great trade. Definitely a great trade. Now SPY. Let's get over what I'm watching here on SPY. SPY's a little bit cleaner chart here. I like this a lot. What I'm watching on SPY is I'm watching 2 things, right? I'm watching, one is if we hold this 430 area, I'm going to look for a push back into this supply at 437, 438 for a reject, right? That's the first thing I'm watching. Very first thing I'm watching. Number 2, if SPY gets weak and gets below Friday's low, right? If we break and hold below this 430 level, this psychological level, I'm going to look to go short. Look for that 5-minute candle confirmation with volume. You can take the break and hold. If there's not volume, wait for the retest. And I'm going to look to go short down into this 426 area on SPY, right? And if we break this 426, which is this nice structure here, we have nothing but room down into this 420 area again. So this can be a very, very nasty downside move on SPY. I think if we get below 430, we'll see that 426. If we get below 426, it's lights out down to that 420. And a no-brainer setup for me, I don't care when it happens, is if we come down and test this 420, 418 area again, I will take that bounce, right? So this is kind of like a watch until it happens type of deal. Whenever we get down to that 420, 418 area, I'll look to take that relief bounce for sure. No problem. But yeah, that's my game plan on SPY. Very simple, just requires a bit of patience. Watch that 437, 438 for a reject, or if we get weak below 430, look to go short down into 426. And that's pretty much my mindset this week. In terms of the long side on SPY, I mean, I just wouldn't be confident in this range, right? As you guys can see here, it's kind of been like a chop fest. There's not really been much direction in this area, so I wouldn't be comfortable, you know, longing here. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't be comfortable. If you notice here, we literally have strong day, next day we dump, right? Next day we dump. Then we'll have a strong day, next day we dump. Next day we dump. Then the next day we have a strong day, and by the end of the day we're dumping. It's like no decision, right? I don't like trading that, right? I like to have confidence. Like say for example, we have a first day move here that we're very strong, and the second day we get continuation. This is where the money's made, right? Setups like this. You have the first day move, and we trade the second day continuation. Second day continuation meaning we take the pullback for a bounce, or we take the break and hold above for continuation, right? These are the type of setups where money's made and confidence is there, right? When you have confidence in the actual trend. Not days like this where, you know, one day we're strong into close and the next day we gap down, right? That's just a wonky price action, and we don't want that, right? We want those days where we're trending, right? Nice trending days. Like for here, for example, right? Context is there. We bounced off this big 420 demand, got strong that whole day. So the next day, we looked for a retest of this big demand here, right? But that happened pre-market, so we waited for strength, took the first dip, and caught the move higher. And then the next day, you know, because obviously we have strength in the trend, that's our trade there. So that's a big difference between trading this and then trading something like this. It's not worth it in terms of mental capital. You're just not even worth it. But let's get into some individual setups here, right? I personally didn't see much, but there's a few that I really, really, really like. Number one's going to be crowd, right? The reason I really love crowd is because it's outperforming the market, right? As you guys can see here, crowd has been doing its own thing for some time. It broke this major resistance here at 172, and ever since then it's pretty much been on a rocket move, right? What I'm watching this week is a pullback, or if crowd continues to see strength, we can take it above that 190 level. So my game plan here with crowd is fairly simple, right? Looking for two things. One, I'm looking for a pullback into this 180, 182 for a bounce. And number two, I'm going to look for a break and hold above this psychological level at 190. If we can get a clean break and hold above 190, I'll be very confident going long on crowd, as we have nothing but room into that 195 area. Very simple setup here. Wait for the pullback or look to take it above highs. Simple as that, all right? Dollar General, right? Ah, man, it's a love-and-hate relationship here. Man, it's such a love-hate. I added Dollar General to my long-term. If you guys remember, this was like 2 weeks ago, right? I said I was watching this 100 area on Dollar General for one, a swing, and two, to add long-term equity. I ended up missing my ad for long-term equity. So right now, like at this specific moment, I think I'm up like 0.2%. I have a horrendous average. I wanted to add down here at this 100 area, but I missed it. Hopefully some of you guys did. But anyway, right? Dollar General had some news regarding a new CEO. So we have a positive catalyst here. What I'm going to be watching is a break and hold above 112. If we get above this 112 level, I think we'll see much higher, right? I think we'll see even maybe a potential squeeze here into that 116 area, which is a $4 move. And on weekly contracts, those will explode, right? So I'm going to look for that break and hold above 112 to go long, or I'm going to look for a pullback into this previous structure. As you guys can see here, this once was a major support, turn resistance, resistance, resistance. And this is a perfect example, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 different reasons to trust this level, right? 4 different reasons. We can see regardless if it was resistance or support, it was respected. So what I'm going to look for is a pullback into this 107.50, 108 for a bounce on crowd. Dollar General, excuse me. Right? I'm going to watch for a pullback into that 107.50, 108 for a bounce, or I'm going to look for that break and hold above 112 to go long here, right? This is one of my favorite setups for the week ahead. I think this has a lot of potential here. It's been absolutely beat to shit. I think this is an easy $150 stock, right? And if you want to do the math here, if we see that 150 area again, that's roughly a 50% return, right? I'm not gonna lie, I do have a decent position. I have about $40,000 in Dollar General equity, and I wouldn't mind adding if we came down to 100. But I think this has a lot of potential. This has a lot of potential to the upside, even in the short term, right? Even in the short term, I think this is a great one to watch. And you guys can see the significance of this 112 level as well. This was a major support that was broken, and here it is acting as resistance. And that's how you find key levels, right? Very, very simple. But let's get into the next one here. Netflix. Netflix has kind of been the weak link, right? And as I look at this chart, there's a high risk setup that I'm watching and I like. I didn't post it on my watch list because I don't really like posting high risk setups on my Sunday watch list. But as you guys can see here on Netflix, right, we're trading in a major demand, right? You guys can see that here. We have a previous resistance, right, that was broken, held as support. Here we are testing that demand again, right? This is essentially a daily break and retest. Not only that, Netflix is very extended, also has decreasing volume. So the context is there for us to see a potential bounce, right? I didn't put this on my watch list, but this is what I'm watching on Netflix. And also, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask it, whether it's a level, it's a stock, it's anything. Feel free to ask it. I'm more than happy to help. Fuck, I forgot. Netflix has earnings. Shit. Damn, I forgot about that, honestly. Yeah, we're going to have to give this one a rain check. Damn, I like this a lot, too. I like this a lot. Yeah, we'll give that a rain check. Damn. Alright, on to the next one. UNH. UNH. Damn, that's a bummer. But UNH I love as well, right? You guys can see here. Friday, we just gapped above a major resistance, right? You guys can see this was a big daily structure here. So what I'm looking for this week is I'm looking for a pullback, right? I'm looking for a pullback, or I'm looking for that second day continuation, right? Essentially, this was the first day move, and this was off of an earnings catalyst. We had earnings Friday morning, right? So we have a good catalyst here. What I'm going to look for on UNH, this is a high risk setup, and as I stated on my Sunday watch list, I don't encourage small accounts to trade this, all right? But what I'm watching is a pullback into this 530, 528 for a bounce, or I'm going to look for that break and hold above 544.50 for continuation, right? That's what I'm going to be looking for here on UNH. I think this has a lot of potential, right? So this is what I'm going to be watching this week as well. One more I want to talk about is NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is a chart that if the market gets weak, I think has a lot lower, right? And the reason I say that is because if you look at this daily chart, we have a massive head and shoulders, right? If you guys look at this daily chart here, we have a massive head and shoulders, literally picture perfect textbook head and shoulders. If you were to draw that left shoulder supply, we rejected perfectly, right? So if you look at this chart here, this is literally a perfect head and shoulders, right? And I think if the market gets weak, we'll see a lot further downside here. And there's one level that I'm watching that'll give us that downside, I think, here. That's going to be 450, right? You guys can see right now, essentially, this is just a break and retest. We have this previous resistance, turn support. Here we are retesting it again. So on NVIDIA, I want to see us lose this 450 level, right? If we lose this 450 level on NVIDIA, I think we'll see a very, very quick move down into this 443.70, right? So I'm going to be watching this 450 level. If we get a clean break and hold below 450, I will short NVIDIA down in that 443. Below 443, it's lights out. So what I would do if I were you guys, I would take your cursor, right click, add an alert at 450, crossing down. That way you'll get notified when it happens. One more I wanted to talk about, which was Meta. Meta, I think, also has great potential for downside, right? Let's look at this weekly chart here, right? Look at this weekly chart for a second. This candlestick here, this is a great lesson for you guys. This candlestick here tells a story, right? This tells a great story. And when looking at candlestick patterns, right, this is a great lesson for you guys. Context is everything, right? say for example, if this exact candlestick here was sitting, say for example, here, there's not much context to it. But since this inverted hammer, gravestone doji, whatever you want to call it, is sitting at the top of a trend, this has extreme value, right? What this candlestick here, we'll call this one, what this candlestick here has, and it tells us, is at one point in time, this candle was fully green, and it broke above those highs. Sellers stepped in, pushed this candles to new lows, right? That's huge, right? Look at the context here. We attempted to break a weekly level, right? We attempted to break this weekly structure. Failed it, so this is now a failure to go higher. A failure to go higher is a bearish reversal pattern. This context for lower is there, right? So what I'm going to be watching on Meta is a break below this weekly candle, right? So if we go down to the hourly time frame here, that's where we can pinpoint an entry. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for a break and hold below this 310 level. If Meta can get below 310, I think we'll see a nasty move down to the bottom of this range at 300, right? You can see for some time now, Meta was trapped in this 298, 310 channel, right? You can see over here. Meta was trapped in this channel, right? And it was pretty directional. Rejected bottom, bounce top, rejected bottom, right? So the moves were pretty directional. And our last move that broke us out of this channel was pretty directional as well. So if we can get that break and hold below 310, I think Meta will see a smooth move down into that 300 area. I like this a lot if the market gets weak, especially with that weekly chart. This is one weekly chart I love for a short position, right? Not to forget either, Meta is up over 300% almost in the past year, right? And if you go up to the daily, we actually are rejecting a huge supply, right? So if you look at where we're rejecting, this is actually a very big supply, right? This actually has context to it, right? We're rejecting this big pivot from all the way back in 2022. Rejected it once here, and then here we are again rejecting again. And like I stated, this weekly chart tells a beautiful story. It's weakness, right? We have a failure to go higher, double top, whatever you want to call it. Nice little indication of a potential reversal, right? So my top watch for a short, if the market gets weak, is going to be Meta. I love this weekly failure to go higher. I love this pin bar off these highs. If we see weakness in the market, I think this is the name to watch for sure down into that 300 area. I think this could have a lot of value for us. So I'll encourage you guys to keep that on watch as well. Tesla, I do want to talk about. It has earnings as well. I didn't forget about this one. But Tesla, I want to watch for earnings. I might be a degen and take a lotto. I will update you guys on that. But I think this go around in terms of earnings with the recent X and the Tesla news, I think there's some value here after earnings. So keep an eye on this one as well. Talk about a name I want to swing, right? You guys are probably going to find this funny. This is Hershey's, right? This is a very profitable company, right? Let's look at this chart here, right? This is a swing that I'm going to enter on Monday, right? Let's look at this chart here. Hershey just seen a 31% pullback in roughly 3 months, right? We have a beautiful bullish divergence here. This is on the daily. Look at the weekly, right? Look at the weekly here. We've had 3 green candles in pretty much the past 40, 50 weeks, right? But look at what area we're testing. This is a macro break and retest, right? I love this for a swing, right? So Monday, my game plan is when market opens, or pretty much pre-market, I'm going to grab equity, right? So whenever we open in pre-market, I'm going to grab equity. And if we come down into this 183, 185 area, I'm going to grab a swing. I'm going to grab about 2 months out on the contracts, and I'm going to keep a stop loss below this 180 level. I think this is an absolute A-plus swing setup. I absolutely love this for a swing. Look at what else we have here. We have the weekly 200 MA, right? We have the weekly 200 MA. We also have this major resistance that was broken, and this is the first retest we had in over a year and a half, right? You guys can see this is a very significant level, right? So this is one of my top swing watches this week. And like I stated, come Monday, pre-market, I'm going to buy equity, right? So just to go down and show you guys on my hourly time frame, I'm going to buy equity wherever we open on Monday, tomorrow. And if we come back down into these lows, right? Say for example, 185 to 183, right? This area right here. I'm gonna look to enter about 2 months out. I'm gonna look to enter a swing with the expiration 2 months out. I'm gonna keep my stop loss below either 180. We'll keep it below 182, right? That way we can keep our risk a little bit tighter, right? So just put a picture out there for you guys. I'm gonna put stop loss here, right? And this is my plan with Hershey's. This is an A+ swing setup for me. A+ swing setup. I love this chart, right? So I'm gonna look for a continued move down on Hershey's, and I'm gonna look to buy a 2 month out swing from this 185 to 183 area. Honestly, I wouldn't even be mad entering here. So I would grab probably a starter position at these lows. And then I would add again at about 185, 184. And I would keep my final add at that 183. Right? And that would be my game plan here on Hershey. I love this. This is an A+ setup for me. Right? A+ setup for me. I like this a lot. And you guys seen why. Anybody that looks at this chart, they're going to love it as well. Right? This is just a classic daily break and retest. Weekly break and retest. You guys can see here how significant this level is. 1 rejection. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we are testing that area again as support. Alright, this is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This is a definition of a beautiful level. If you guys want to know what to look for in terms of a level, this is what you want to see. You want to see respect. You want to see noise. You want to see a positive interaction off the last one, whether it was a rejection or a bounce. It's a beautiful setup. If you guys remember, I don't say this often. I don't tell you guys that a setup is A+ often unless it's A+. If you guys remember, I signaled the bottom on SPY, right? I told everybody. I signaled it on Twitter. I signaled it on my Instagram. I signaled it in the Discord. I signaled it everybody. I told everybody to buy calls on SPY right here. We caught over 300% return. I made $12,000 on this trade. Absolutely beautiful, right? We entered calls here. I took profit a little bit early, and I sold my runners a day before we caught that gap up. But that was beautiful, right? And this was an A+ setup for me as well. Hershey's is an A+ setup as well. So you guys remember, I told you guys this was an A+ setup. Look what happened. I'm not saying it's going to be the same thing, but similar setup, just a different stock. Just a different stock. But yeah, guys, that's the watch list here. I want to take the last few minutes here. I want to take to answer questions about me. I know a couple of you guys were interested about my name, what I've been through. So now's the time to ask it, right? I'm going to go ahead and turn off this screen here. We're going to pull back the chatting screen. And I'm going to start a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions about me, let's get it, right? So I just started a Q&A here. If you guys have any questions, type it in that Q&A. I will answer it. No hesitation. Whether it's about myself, it's about trading, it's about business, whatever it may be, ask it right then and there, and I will answer it for you guys, all right? I do want to say something as well, man. I appreciate every single one of you guys. All 400 of you guys that are in here right now, I appreciate you. I thank you for taking time out of your night to come kick it with me. I really appreciate your time. I respect your time. I hope you got some value from this. And if you did, be sure to hit that like button. That's all I ask. All right? If you guys got any questions, whether it's trading, entrepreneurship, it's about me, my journey, anything, turbo, it doesn't matter. Ask it. All right? Whatever it may be. Dylan. So Aristotle pretty much reached out to me. You know, he's seen how I was trading. He's seen how consistent I was. He's seen the gains that I was posting. And yeah, man, that was the nature of it. They had a lot to learn from me. And, you know, I learned a lot from them. I love the community, man. It's awesome. Of course, man, I'm happy. What is the most difficult trading strategy? Most difficult trading strategy. For new trade, to see Pascal, the context isn't really there. But I'll say the most difficult trading strategy for new traders is a counter trend trade, right? So like taking a bounce against a trend or taking a reject against a trend. So I would say counter trend is the most difficult, right? It's the most difficult. Can I do some live trading on Market Open? I do every single day. Every single day. I live trade with mentees exclusively on Monday and Friday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can catch me at Honey Drip. On break and retest, do you try to time the retest to the T? Not necessarily. I create a little scale-in zone, and I keep my stop below the retest level. So, you know, that's one thing we can't do, right? We can never time a stock down to the penny. But we can create a zone to where we're comfortable scaling in based off our position size, define our risk, and go from there. Where am I from? I'm from Virginia, man. What did I learn about trading? And did I learn about trading on my own? Yes, I did. I've never taken a course. I've never taken a mentorship, and that's not a good thing. I don't want you guys to think just because I did it, you can do it. Right? I commend my mentees. I commend anybody. Like, if I want to go learn soccer, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go find fucking Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi or somebody like that to teach me how to play soccer, right? I went about it the wrong way. I made my journey a lot harder than it needed to be. I promise you guys that. If I could have done things differently, I would have. I feel like I would have been profitable a lot sooner. I feel like I would have been a lot more consistent. I feel like I wouldn't have lost so much money in the beginning. I would have made my journey a lot easier if I would have sought help. I'm not a part of the mentorship, Pascal. I'm not. Nope. I have my own mentorship. Let's see. Why do they call me Felony? I call myself that, right? I don't think anybody really gave me that name, but it's because of my past. That's why. You know, a lot of people like to hide from it, but I've embraced it. It's who I am. It made me the man I am today. If I didn't go through what I went through, I don't know. You know, I couldn't tell you, but I don't regret much. That's all I know. It made me a better man, maybe a better son, it made me a better, brother. It just made me better overall, mentally, physically. So I'm very grateful for it, to be honest with you. What kept me motivated? Learning the stock market. I would say the freedom, man. Just that end goal, the picture at the end, like the pot of gold at the end. That kept me motivated. I knew that I could do it. I had to do it properly. Yep, I already went over SPY. What was the mindset from over leveraging to taking one contract? That's a great question, Fino. That was the big difference, right? Is understanding like new traders are focused on gains, right? That's the big focus for them, right? They want to make money, right? The mindset shift for me was understanding I'm not in a position to be using a position size I was. I can't manage it in terms of trading psychology, and I need to get to the point to where I'm confident enough in my own analysis to where I can execute without that unnecessary emotion that was hindering me from executing properly and performing at a higher level. So the mindset shift was realizing, hey, if I keep over leveraging, one, I'm going to lose so much money, I'm going to lose my ass. Number two, I'm going to dig a hole so deep in terms of my market trauma, I'm not going to be able to trade anymore. So it was kind of like a pivot, like, hey, you either start trading properly and using your execution as a tool to level up, or you just stop. So that was my kind of turning point. What do you do if a stock doesn't retest? That's perfect. I just covered that with my mentees last Monday. You wait. No money lost is a win, man. If the stock does not retest, you don't chase it. That's for sure. Just stay patient. Wait for the next setup. How can someone join my mentorship? You can do yourself a favor right now and get to the front of the line by filling out the waitlist form. Right now it is closed, but when it does open back up, you'll be first in line. So if you guys want to take 2 minutes of your time and sign up, I just posted a link for you guys, and I'll pin it right at the top here. There you guys go. All right, let's see. We got a couple more here. How long were you profitable before you felt confident sizing up? This is a long time, man. I would say probably about 18 months. I traded with one contract for about 7 months. Then I went from one contract to 3 contracts. I fucked up with 3 contracts, went back to 1 contract. Then I went from 1 contract to 2 contracts. I went from 2 contracts to 5 contracts. And then after 5 contracts, I kind of just didn't focus on how much I was trading. I just focused on the setup. And that was kind of like the pivot for me. Stopped worrying about things out of my control, right? My job as a trader is to manage my risk. So I knew if I kept my risk in check in terms of how much I was risking and focused on my R multiple, I was golden. And that's what I started doing. At what percent in equities? I don't really pay attention for swings in equity. I don't really pay attention to the percent or how much I'm down. I focused on levels, right? So like technical market structure, right? Market mechanics in terms of actual swings or equity. That's very important. Trading based off of levels, support and resistance, supply and demand. If my demand is still valid, I'm not going to cut it, right? But there are some scenarios in which you might not get the proper expiration. Like Dollar General was a stock that I was greedy on. I was greedy in the aspect of grabbing shorter expirations, wanting that bigger return, versus grabbing a further out expiration, still getting a decent return, and saving that initial loss I took from being greedy. So it's different there. Background story, Terrell. I've already went over it like 3 or 4 times. It would take a long time for me to go over. Maybe another one. I told you guys tonight I will give you guys a little story on how I got the name Felony, and I have. But if you want to rewatch the video, it is in the Google Drive. And if you would like the Google Drive, I do this every Sunday on my Instagram subscription, right? If you guys are interested in getting a daily trendy plan from me and access to my Google Drive, which the Google Drive in itself is priceless. Anybody who was a part of the Patreon, which is no longer there, but anybody who has the Google Drive, they will tell you the God's honest truth, and it is priceless. I teach you how to create a watch list. You know, if you're a new trader, right? And someone asked me yesterday on my story why I do what I do. I wish I had someone like me, right? If someone like me was around when I was first starting back in the end of 2019, and said, hey, you pay me $20 and you're going to give me a limited access to trading content, I would have gave them 1,000. If someone offered what I offered, I would literally just be throwing money at them. No cap. I'm not even joking to you. If someone like me was back when I was starting, I would be holding their pocket walking around. I'm serious. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm being honest with you. Being honest with you. Like your favorite Furu's mentorship is yeah, we're not gonna go there. How to become disciplined and manage your emotions, man. Pascal, it's all about your comfort zone, man. Who you are as a trader. First, you got to establish that, what you're comfortable with. At one point, do you recommend getting a mentor? That's a great question, Kyle. And my recommendation is, as a mentor, would be try to do as much legwork as you can by yourself, right? That is my recommendation for you guys. Try to do as much legwork as you can by yourself, all right? What I mean by that is try to educate yourself as much as you can, right? Use Google, use YouTube, use guys. Like I said, if I wish I had someone like me. If you go on my Instagram and you know nothing about the stock market, if you go back to the beginning of my Instagram, by the time you get to the top to my latest post, you're gonna know everything you need to know about the market, damn near everything. I'm dead serious. If you know nothing about the market, right? And you go to my Instagram, you're going to have a great fucking handle on what's going on by the time you finish. I have over 2.5, almost 3 years worth of value on my Instagram. You can go back and look at Sunday Watchlist from 2 years ago. You can find out how to use Fibonacci retracements. Man, guys, I'm telling you, if you have time on your Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're at work and you're bored, go to my Instagram and just scroll. I'm serious. I appreciate that shade, man. I'm glad I can help. Seriously. I'm glad I can help. But before you guys, I'm always one to let you guys know. I'm always one to let you guys know. Give me 1 second. If you go to my Instagram and you're interested in the Google Drive, go to my page, go to subscription. Next 5 people get 50% off for lifetime. I do it every Sunday. So if you guys want to wait 1 week and get 50% off forever, there you go. I just turned it on right now. So let me see. Yep. There you go. So I just turned it on. Next 5 people, bam. Anyway. Oh yeah, Steadfast. There you go. Sports betting too. That's absolutely nutty. How do you get access to the Google Drive? Just once you join, make sure you join the channel and you'll be good to go. how much was before you learned what you were doing wrong? I was down about 42,000, 43,000, right around there. It was definitely more than 40K. Dexter, I think I'm going to do one more this year. I'm not sure if I have time, but I think, what is it? It's October. Yeah, I'll do one more this year. I'll do one more mentorship this year, and then I'll take off until the next year. Exactly. There you go. Sandy gave you the same thing I tell my mentees. I told you guys, man. Matthew, it's all about price action, man. It's all about price action. I mean, Pascal, it's all about perspective, right? It's all about perspective. If you guys, yeah, just perspective. Put it that way. Like 40,000 back then was a lot to me. 40,000 now, I spend it a month. So, you know, was it worth it? In my opinion, yes. Yeah, but see, Kenny, this is the thing about the Google Drive. A lot of people want stuff handed in their hand. When it comes to the Google Drive, you're going to have to put in the work. You're going to have to go watch the videos. You're going to have to take the notes. No one's going to do it for you, right? And that's why with my mentorship, I like working with the people that I work with, like all of my mentees, because they take initiative. I'm willing to help whoever's willing to help themselves. If you come to me and you're like, hey, Felony, can I have this or can I have that? And I say, okay, hey, what are you doing on your own? Ah, man, I just started last week. What? You haven't even done anything for yourself. Why am I going to do something for you? And that goes for anything. Right? That goes for anything. Right? If I go up to, a professional baseball player, I'm like, hey, man, teach me how to play baseball. And they ask me, have you ever played baseball before? That's disrespectful to them. Right? If I go ask a professional baseball player to take time out of his day away from his family and say, hey, man, teach me how to play baseball, but I haven't took an initiative to show them that I'm serious, come on, man. And people do that all day long. They say, Felony, can you teach me? Or can you do this? Or can you do that? And it's like, come on, man. You're not even taking initiative for yourself. Why do I want to take time out of my day to help you if you're not willing to help yourself? And that goes in any aspect of life. A lot of people just need to be the change they need. Wake up and do something different than you did yesterday. And then, maybe we'll get somewhere. Or maybe you'll get somewhere. And I tell my mentees as well. I'll tell everybody. I'll tell the whole world. Trading is not easy. It is one of the hardest careers in the world. But is it fucking worth it? Yes. Is everybody going to make it? No, they might not. You can take 1 million mentorships and still probably might not make it. And I tell everybody the same thing as well. I stand on what I say. I pride myself on being honest and transparent about trading. Period. I do not sugarcoat shit. It's not easy. It's not. Even to this day, I still struggle at some points. I have red days. I have hard weeks. I have highs. I have lows. It's an ongoing battle. You never become perfect. You never become the best, right? There is no best in trading. There is no best trader, right? It's all about how you manage your risk, manage your emotions, know when to trade, know when not to trade, know what to trade, know why you're trading it, know what to trade with. It's an ongoing battle day after day after day after day. Like, a lot of people don't understand that. They think that to just learn and it's just magic money everywhere. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. And I'm the first to tell you. If you join my mentorship, my introduction lesson, I'm going to tell you the same exact thing. Hey, even if you take this mentorship, you might not be where you want to be, right? You can have the system. You can have my level system. You can have my strategies. You can have my systems. I can hand it to you. I can teach it to you. 365 days a year, 24/7. Guess what? If you do not know who you are as a trader at the end of that mentorship, guess what? You're not getting anywhere. You can replicate my strategy. You can replicate my system. You can. You can literally take it, copy, and paste. But what you can't copy and paste is my trading psychology. You can't copy and paste my risk management. You can't copy and paste how I manage my emotions. And that's what those fuckers on Instagram don't tell you. Yes, sure, they might be great traders, right? That person, the Discord you're in, they might be a great trader. Are they a great teacher? And are they going to tell you that just because you took their mentorship or course or in their Discord, yes, you can take their signal. But once you enter that trade, do you know how to manage it? Do you know your risk management? Or are you asking them what theirs is and they're telling you and you're trying to trade a position size that somebody's been trading for months or years and is comfortable with? How does it make sense? That's like going to Jeff Bezos and say, hey, how much do you spend a month? And you try to spend what he's spending a month. It doesn't work. You cannot replicate someone's risk management. Right? Say, for example, say Brett. Brett's not comfortable trading what I'm trading. And I might not be comfortable trading what Brett's trading. And it's okay. It's on a trader-to-trader basis. Trading psychology and risk management is not replicable. It's not. It's not. And that's what people don't realize, right? They try to... You can copy and paste to a certain extent. When it gets to risk management and trading psychology, I don't care who you learn from, when you learn from them, you can't replicate that. You have to figure out who you are as a trader in that aspect. And a lot of people don't realize what they do outside of the market affects their performance inside of the market. If you lack discipline, you lack self-control, you lack patience in your day-to-day life, you are going to struggle as a trader. If you don't sleep well and you're not on top of your game and you go try to trade, you're not going to perform well. If something traumatic happened or something's going on in your life, you're arguing with your wife or son or brother or mother, whatever the case may be, you're not going to perform well. Trading requires a level of focus that a lot of people don't realize is there, right? You're trading sometimes with thousands of dollars, right? Knowing what I know now, what I was doing as a beginner trader was a fucking absolute asshat move. I would sleep 2 or 3 hours and then wake up and trade with 4 or 5K. I'm trading with thousands of dollars on 2 hours of sleep. How does that sound? Do professional players sleep for an hour and then go out there and play a World Series game? Or do they go out there and sleep for 30 minutes and play the Super Bowl? No, they don't. If they're not on top of their game, you don't see them on the field. They're resting. They're getting better. They're taking time for themselves, right? Same aspect. Same aspect. Same exact aspect. Oh shit, I didn't even realize. I gotta rock out, you guys. Yeah, Dylan, man, the market, being a trader is a couple things. One of them is lonely as fuck, right? You're gonna be lonely. It's a part of the game, right? No one's gonna believe in you, but you have to believe in yourself, right? You're not gonna have the support you think you're gonna have as a trader. Some will, some won't. Majority won't, right? It's a lonely fucking road, man, but is it worth it? Yes. Just make sure you do it right. And like I said, someone asked me yesterday on my Instagram, why do I do what I do? This is why I do what I do. This is why I just spent 15, 20 minutes of my night trying to help you guys, because I know what I went through. And if I can help you guys preventing to go through that and get you one step closer to where you need to be, I sleep amazing at night. But yeah, I'm gonna rock out, you guys. I appreciate every single one of you guys' time. Seriously, I do. Thank you for taking time out of your Sunday at 10 o'clock at night. Seriously, I appreciate your guys' time. I hope you guys have a great night. I will catch you guys bright and early in the morning. Y'all know the vibes, man. Happy Sunday. If you guys enjoyed this, you guys got some value from this, be sure to hit that like button. That's all I ask. And if you really want to show love, smack that repost button on Instagram. I'll be happy to tag you. All right. Y'all have a great night. Peace out, everybody.